Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. Have you ever had a hobby that made people question your sanity? Some people collect stamps, others knit sweaters, and then there's me. I farm worms. Yes, you got that right. When most people were binge watching Netflix in January of 2021, I was watching YouTube videos about vermicomposting. That's a fancy word for worm farming. I started with 250 red wigglers, and today I have a thriving, wiggling workforce. What started as curiosity quickly became a mission for me to help the environment, to reduce waste, and to turn trash into treasure. Worm farming has been a journey that has been filled with many surprises, and I have learned so much along the way. Today, I want to share some of those things with you. Worms are incredible recyclers. Most people throw away food waste, junk mail, and cardboard, and they don't think twice about it. In my house, these things don't go in the trash. They go to the worms. They happily munch on banana peels, coffee grounds, and even my shredded bills. My worms handle my paper trail better than any shredder. My neighbors are even involved. My neighbors collect food scraps and they deliver to me like I'm running some type of underground worm operation. In all honesty, at this point, I expect the FBI to show up at my house anytime with all these suspicious people dropping off food scraps at my house at all hours of the day. Next, worm farming has made gardening so much easier. Worm castings, also known as worm poop, are full of microorganisms and nutrients that help plants grow strong and healthy. Unlike chemical fertilizers, worm compost is all natural. It doesn't smell, and it will not burn your plants. Since starting my worm bin, I've sold my compost on OfferUp and Marketplace. I have made money selling worm poop. Who knew there were people out there that would buy buckets of my worm compost? Never knew it would happen. Next, worms multiply like crazy. Mature red wigglers have this thick band near their head called the clitellum. This is where worm cocoons are hatched. Each worm cocoon can give birth to multiple worm babies, which means my 250 original worms quickly exploded into thousands. At one point, my bin grew so fast, I had to split it up and expand. I started with one bin in our garage, and today, my worms call our back patio home. I don't keep them in the house, and believe me, my wife is super grateful for that. But even though I keep them outside, I've had a few mishaps. I overfed my bins once, and they smelled like rotting dumpsters. And just a couple weeks back, with all the rain we had in San Diego, I forgot to cover a couple of my bins, and they flooded. And I created my version of the worm Titanic. Now, I should warn you, this is not a neat and clean hobby. It is messy. Be prepared to get your hands dirty. When I first started, I had a hard time even touching the worms, but now it's just part of the journey. Between handling food scraps, touching the compost, and sifting through my worm bin, there's just no way around it. I also want to talk about worms' special dietary needs. Did you know that worms don't have teeth? And they have a gizzard, just like birds. In order to break down food and digest food, they need grit. And the way I give that to them is I break down eggshells and sprinkle them in my bin as a fine powder. Okay? And you want to talk about worms' favorite foods? In my experience, they love watermelon and pumpkins. The past 2 Halloweens, my neighbors have donated their jack-o'-lanterns after Halloween, and I've thrown them into my worm bins, and my worms will devastate them within about 1 month.
No way.
Amazing. Now, I also want to tell you, don't believe everything you hear online. There are people that will tell you there are forbidden foods. Do not feed them, like onions, citrus. Don't believe them. I've experienced that worms will eat anything in moderation, including lemons and oranges. Tonight, I want to share a small piece of my journey with you. I have samples of worm castings for you to take home. You can use them in your garden or on your houseplants, and believe me, your plants will love them. We all have the power to make a difference, even in the smallest ways. For me, it's through worms. For you, maybe it's something else. But whatever it is, don't underestimate the power of small change, because even the smallest creatures can make the biggest impact. So if worms can turn trash into treasure, just imagine what they can do for you. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you for teaching.
Thank you.